Hyaki.
Dororo, how have you been?
Good. How about you?
I've been worse.
Did you...
I found a way.
Really?
The spirits of fiends are somehow naturally drawn to my spirit. If I can get my spirit inside of you, I can then lure the fiend out of your body.
You can do that?
Yes, I can do it without causing you any physical harm. Perfecting that technique was harder than I thought. Sorry I took so long.
No, I just didn't think I'd see you so soon.
There is still just one problem left, Dororo.
Problem?
Even though I can lure out the fiend, I cannot sever its bond with you.
Which means...
Which means I'll be fighting the fiend while it's still a part of you. And if anything goes wrong, something bad could happen to you. You could die.
What?
Which is why I've decided I don't mind my arm staying like this.
No, Hyaki. You made an oath to defeat all 48 of the fiends and get back your body. Don't you worry about me. I trust you, Hyaki.
Dororo.
Come on. Give it your best shot.
I won't fail you.
Welcome back to Let's Play Blood Will Tell. Since last we spoke, Dororo grew up, finally got a sword, and turned into a giant monster. Now we have to kill it and rescue Dororo, because she's a woman now, and that's what women are for in video games, unfortunately. Like Hyakimaru, I'm taking on this final boss solo. That's because there is a lot of ground to cover. This is an incredibly complicated and in-depth boss. Very fitting for the finale. Now this first phase, the very first step in it is grinding up full ammo. Which you have to go back to a previous chapter to do that, because you most likely do not have that at the end of chapter 7. And that is because you have to dump all of your ammo into this guy. He is not going to come into the arena. He's going to float around on the outside. The only way to kill him is with cannon shells, and I'm probably going to run out, so I'm going to have to use the couple of other projectiles I have available to me. Yeah, just barely not enough. And the purpose of this is to drain you of ammo for the rest of the fight, but it's not Silent Hill. If you come in here with no ammo, then it doesn't just skip this part for you. The Divine Justice is the only spirit attack that can hit him in this phase. And the machine gun just barely was able to finish him off. He does have a lot of invincibility frames in that last health bar, which is really obnoxious. Very easy to run out of ammo even if you come in with full. And for this second phase, he's sort of sweeping the entire arena. And if you do what I've just done and run into the center, you are kind of screwed. He's just going to sweep you back and forth, and there's almost no way to get back to where you need to be. But you do get to see his weak spot, which is the obvious eyeball in the center of his palm there. Pretty much anytime there's a gigantic misplaced eyeball in a video game, you know it's a weak spot. So, place yourself properly and strike at that, and he will foolishly raise you directly to his face. once you're there, you can do a quick combo and then it'll knock you off again. Rinse and repeat. Now it's completely safe if you go all the way over to that corner there. It's the only safe spot in the arena, so that's another hint as to what you need to do. Periodically, after you do enough damage, he just prevents you from doing any more. So once you've got this figured out, it's just a time waster. What I sometimes like to do is start a combo while he's raising me up to his face. That way the stronger hits will hit him before I have to be interrupted by the lightning bolt. However, while he's raising you up, it sort of awkwardly shifts Hyakimaru around, and it can interrupt your combo, make you start from the beginning. But the worst case scenario is that you just have to start the combo from scratch. And I'm showing off there that no matter what you do, you can't not get hit when he knocks you down. It doesn't do any damage though, so that's fine. And once you've repeated the cycle 4 or 5 times, then you get to finish him off. Naturally, splitting the behemoth's head in twain has only made it more powerful. And it's gone quadrupedal, which puts its weak spots in the worst possible place for us. That should have been a very costly mistake right there, because the Death Laser does unbelievable amounts of damage, but we were in invincibility frames at the moment. So, as you might have noticed, all of his attacks during this part do a stun effect, which we can prevent using the Sword of Clarity. Any level Sword of Clarity will do. We just happen to have the +3, so why not? And that's going to make this part much, much easier. Drastically reduce the odds of us falling into the Death Laser as well. As you can see, no stun effect there. First time the Sword of Clarity has been useful. So we can climb his tail. That will bring us to his spikes, which we're going to need a better sword to take care of. And my preferential sword is the Fiend Slayer, which we haven't seen before. But it has the Flame Tongue effect, which grinds up Spirit Attack much faster. That's useful because good old Firestorm is very excellent here. Using that, we've almost completely destroyed those 2 spikes. It's not going to take too kindly to that. That hand will grab us and throw us directly into the Death Laser. Fortunately, it grabs at the exact spot where his foremost horn remains. So as long as you don't try to get in as many hits as possible, dodge out of the way of that hand, you will be able to not get hit with the Death Laser this entire fight. Unfortunately, that is not what happened to me. So back to the Sword of Clarity, and with hopefully more careful dodging for the rest of this, we will be able to make it back around this guy. It certainly takes its time waiting for us to fall into the Death Laser after it has begun firing it. Which is fortunate, because it gives us all the time in the world to sneak around back. Break the Fiend Slayer back out. And go to town. It's sort of hard to tell how fast the hand is approaching, which can lead to some unfortunate grabs and Death Laser hits. Fortunately, we were in the middle of a Spirit Attack technically when he tried to grab us that time, so it didn't work. As you can see, he reaches directly for the lowest part of his back, which is nowhere near where we are there. One final horn remains. But I didn't get out of the way in time. So that'll cost me another quarter of my health bar, but we're not really going to need the Sword of Clarity this time, because he can only fire as many lightning bolts as the number of horns that he has. Since they fire in kind of a random pattern, he has virtually no chance of hitting us at this point, so we just gotta dodge the expanding ring. And pick up the health while we're here. You certainly need it after getting hit so many times with that laser. And the Fiend Slayer does plenty of damage. It's got the 7-body slasher effect. So we will be able to make short work of this final horn. And so the behemoth takes to the air once again. This time he's coming right for us with an undodgeable attack. This section can be a lot of fun your first time playing it, when you have no idea quite what to do. So what you have to do is charge directly into the attack and strike at the split neck. The timing on that can also be very awkward to figure out. Then we got to get 48 slashes on the heart. Virtually impossible with any normal sword, but the cloud swords make this relatively easy. But the window of opportunity is infinitesimal. So we'll have to try once more. Knowing the process, this should be much easier. We should get it this time. I'm going to take a risk with a double-edged sword. Since I have a good sense of the timing, it's not much of a risk, though. I would use the Sword of the 8th Cloud, but it literally does not do enough damage to knock him out of that phase. So you have to switch swords here. I'd be interested in trying this with the Dragonkin, because that provides the highest speed boost of any sword, but I have tried that, and even still, can barely break 30 hits. You'd have to really be in the zone or luck into a pattern that is all the same button, which I don't even know if that's possible here. So after one more mistake, this time should be different.
Dororo, we did it!
At long last, we've got the final body part, and it's the long-awaited right arm. Unfortunately, there is no more game to show it off with, so we're going to check it out right now. The Suzaku is named for one of the Chinese constellations, specifically the one in the south, and the Genbu is named for the one in the north. And with this, we can now dual-wield swords. Unfortunately, they have to be Genbu and Suzaku. You can no longer choose what you want in your offhand, which, to me, is a strict downgrade. I don't really care for that. That said, these are extremely powerful swords, and they do level up as we continue to fight. It says that Suzaku has higher potential than Genbu. I'm not sure what that means specifically, if anything. But we've also lost our machine gun, so this is a strict downgrade, but cool nonetheless. We've also unlocked the final 3 pieces of concept art. One for adult Dororo, who has an excellent design, and it's a real shame that we never get to see it in action in the game. She's also explicitly stated to be 18, which is the first time Dororo is ever given a canonical age in any adaptation that I'm aware of. The Behemoth, very appropriate final boss design, extremely imposing. And finally, a comparison chart with virtually every character model in the game all lined up. This is, of course, multiple screens wide and long. because there's a lot of them. There's our old friend the Minotaur. Couple of end of chapter fiends here. We can see all the humanoid models that we fought, including Dororo and Misaki. Some old classics, including the infuriating Cursed Monk. For the most part, they kept the palette swaps on opposite ends of the spectrum. Raijin and Fujin reunited at last. And finally, our two end bosses. And having covered that, we can move on to the end of the game.
Hyaki?
Dororo, look! It's my right arm! My real arm!
You did it, Hyaki.
Dororo, I couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you. Hyaki.
And that was Blood Will Tell, the game whose title means nothing. And honestly, that final cutscene sort of lacked the punch that I was hoping for. But we did fulfill Hyakimaru's destiny of destroying the 48 fiends, and his own personal goal of recovering his 48 body parts. So that I find extremely satisfying. I detect sort of an Oedipus Rex thing, where the fiends may have inspired their own downfall by giving Hyakimaru a reason to come after them in the first place. But perhaps I'm just reading too much into it. I'd like to start off here by, of course, thanking my co-commentators, without whom this Let's Play would neither have been started nor completed. So, Rubinak, Vicissitude, Zane, Kaboom Dragoon, and Derek Barona are all owed a huge debt of thanks here. I think they all did an excellent job throughout the Let's Play. I'd also like to say that this is one of my favorite games, without question. I enjoyed the hell out of this Let's Play. And clearly it shows a lot of design decisions from its time period. Like, those are pretty much unforgivable and really don't hold up today, but they were done a lot worse by similar games at the time. That's why I'm so heavily forgiving of them. But I fully understand why people who are current modern gamers are not as appreciative of them as I am. Fully understandable. But for its time period, I think it did a lot right, and I really enjoyed it. I love the story. Everything that it did properly, it did really, really well. Exemplary of its genre. And at worst, I merely like the lowest parts of it. Nothing I hate about this game. And I think it had a very strong storyline. Maybe the presentation wasn't perfect, but it did a good job giving the story its own twist. That said, the base story, Dororo by Osamu Tezuka, is phenomenal and outpaces it in absolutely every single way. I cannot recommend enough that you go and check that out for yourself. It has a lot of depth to it. It's not just a simple story like the game has. It's more about the human condition and very progressive ideas that were not explored very commonly in the time period or the genre that he was working in. So I think that's essential reading material. And especially worth noting is that the whole tagline of the manga is "Nobody is born whole." And it then goes on to show that Hyakimaru, missing most of his body parts, is in many ways more of a complete person than everybody he comes across. Very interesting, and it also explores gender issues with Dororo's, gender identification, which is revealed towards the end. And even through to the end, Dororo insists that he is a boy. Hyakimaru sort of is curious as to whether Dororo's just being stubborn like he is about everything, or if he's actually insisting on that. But it leaves it vague and asks a lot of questions that frankly need to be discussed a lot more often, especially in the gaming community these days. For the record, it is fairly likely that Tezuka knew the implications of what he was writing about, because he does write about similar issues in his works MW and the Book of Human Insects. So he has proven repeatedly that he has very progressive ideas. But yeah, in summation, I think this game is a very strong adaptation of a very interesting story. I hope everybody has enjoyed the Let's Play, and thank you all very much for watching.